So there's still loans. We're still borrowing money, but it's usually a longer term. Longer term meaning, example, you're going to go 20 years to 25 years. Right? Mortgages are done over a long period of time. That's the main difference. And another difference is, in general, what happens to the value of a home over time? It increases. What about a car or a car? What happens to the value of a car over time? It decreases, it depreciates. A house, it appreciates, okay? It actually goes up. So sometimes they actually just, honestly, on an exam, they'll be like, which one is most likely to increase in value? They might say a collection of old coins, a computer, a car, I don't know what else, a smartphone. Which one of those is most likely to appreciate in value? The coins, okay? So a house is also most likely to appreciate in value, so keep that in mind. So here we go. In general, we have that the future value of anything when it comes to appreciation or depreciation is equal to initial value times 1 plus or minus the rate divided by 100 to the power of years. That's one big formula. If it says appreciate, appreciation, use the plus in this formula. Depreciation, use the minus in the formula. So this is an aside there. So this is one big formula that I would encourage you to have on your study sheet. And if you need a little title for this, this would be appreciation slash depreciation. That's the heading I would use for this. So that's one. This is particularly to when it comes to appreciation and depreciation. Another thing is equity. Equity. What is equity? Sorry. The difference between the value of asset, i.e. the house for us, and the balance owing. I'm going to give you a little diagram on the side here. And this is money, and this is time. When you buy a house, you buy it at a certain value, right? It's worth this much. Two things are going to happen simultaneously. The value of the home is going to go up, most likely. And what's going to happen to the amount you owe? It's going to go down, right? Look at this pen. Where did I catch this pen from? Somebody left it behind one of these years. So this is what you owe, and this is the value. So those lines are going to get further, they're going to spread apart more and more over time. And so the difference between the high line and the low line is what we call equity. And that is why a lot of people like buying a house, because they build equity. They accumulate wealth in the house. Okay? So you don't have to do much. It's just going to go up in value over time. And therefore, the formula to calculate how much equity you will have in the house is as follows. Okay, so it's an ugly formula. I'm warning you already. Equity, I'm going to borrow from this previous part here. Okay, so it's going to be value of house minus balance owing. In general, that's what we do. And here's the formula. It's going to be initial value 1 plus rate divided by 100 to the power of years. I should go plus or minus, sorry. It's important because there have been questions where houses have lost value, even on the exam. Okay, so you gotta watch out. So you'll find out how much your house will be worth in, let's say, 10 years, 15 years down the road, minus what function do we use on our calculator to figure out the balance owing? Balance, we're gonna go years times what? PY. This is a very important formula to have on your study sheet. It looks ugly, but it's actually very doable. It's very doable. Once you use it once or twice, you're gonna know what to do. Sometimes the province chunks this up. It's like, hey, figure out what the house is gonna be worth in 5 years from now. And then B, what's the balance owing 5 years from now? And then they'll ask you for equity, which is just subtract the two. So sometimes it's all in one, sometimes they break it down. Is there anything else I need to tell you before I move on? No. For equity, I will tell you. So we will wonder, like 10 years from now, what is your equity? What's your expected equity? So you just plug in the years. You don't have to solve for it. When you hear equity on the exam or on my test, you should immediately go to this one. You should go to this formula. It's like, got it, this is equity, okay? Some advantages and disadvantages. We got to do advantages of owning. A house or condo, right? So you can buy a condominium. And then we're going to side by side go advantages of renting. And the disadvantages, I'm going to just let you figure that out because you can kind of borrow from these two columns. The first advantage of owning is you build equity. The second was you can modify at will. You don't have to ask a landlord. You don't have to. When I rented, I had to ask for permission to paint one of our rooms. And then the condition was when you move out, you have to paint it back to the original color. You don't have to worry about that when you own. Another one is you may own pets. So you can own pets and not have to worry about a damage deposit, or some apartment blocks flat out don't allow you pets, right? And you can stay as long as you want. Obviously, you got to pay your mortgage, right? You got to pay your bills, or else out you go. Advantages of renting. I would consider the first thing is a lower startup cost. Lower startup cost. How so? You don't need no large down payment. Which reminds me of, I have to tell you that about the down payment in a bit. No legal fees. You don't have to hire a lawyer to sell your house and then set up the agreement. I'm going to just leave it at that. It's lower maintenance costs. You don't need to worry about maintenance in an apartment, right? If there's a leak, if there's something that broke, you just ask your landlord, they'll take care of it. So actually you save a lot of money there. It is much easier to relocate. Utilities are often included. What are utilities? Water, heat, electricity, the basics. Some apartments even have Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi, which is huge, right? I'm just going to leave it at that. So you can borrow from one to the other. So let's say, what are the disadvantages of renting? You don't build equity, right? What are disadvantages of buying a home? You have higher startup costs, right? So you borrow from each other when you want disadvantages. Which gets me to the startup costs. A house, guys, there's a lot of money to start off. So, sorry, I'm going to go to the top. You need a minimum, in Canada, you need a minimum of 5% down nowadays, okay? There used to be a time where you didn't have to have any down payment. You will not get approved today. You will not get approved unless you have 5% down saved up. So, and I'm going to tell you this, save up at least 7%. So 5 for the down, 7 for legal fees, all the other fees that you're going to need. Yeah. An average house in Canada, I don't know about Canada, but hi.
I have a candy can for Jerry.
Okay. Go ahead.
Where's Jerry?
Wish I could sing like that. Would be a musical every class. Anyways. You said average house in Canada?
Yeah.
Let's ask ChatGPT. I think in Winnipeg it's like $350. Like to save up. It's a lot of money. So save up now. You've got time. Okay, let's do one example here. Let's go to 73. 73, does it have a down payment? Yes, okay. Example 7. Jose is negotiating with his bank for a mortgage on a house. He has been told that he needs to make 10% down payment. 10% down payment to purchase a house worth $225,000. The bank gives an offer of 3.75% compounded semi-annually over 20 years. And you want monthly mortgage payments. How much would each payment be? So this is a loan, right? It's just, it's a loan disguised in a mortgage. Right? So here we go. You should be able to fill in most of this already. Before I start, is there a down payment? There's a down payment, so I will figure that out on the side here. My down payment is 10%, so I need to go 0.1 times 225,000. And so that's 22,500 is the down payment. Okay, so let's keep that in mind for PV. It's compounded semi-annually. Payments are monthly, so 12. We're actually solving for payment. We want it to be paid off in the future. Present value, watch this, 225 minus 22,500. This ends up being 202,500. Positive or negative? The bank is giving you this, right? So this is positive. Interest is 3.75. And N is going to be 20 years times PY. So that's 240 payments will happen over the life of this mortgage. So let's go ahead and solve. You should all solve, because if we use any functions, if we figure out equity, then you need that, right? Apps, finance, and so forth. And then 2. Make sure before you solve that you check PYCY, right? It overwrites. So quite often students make a mistake there. So my payment, my monthly payment, is going to be $1,197.55. You got 2 marks already if you did this right. I will cut this here. I will kind of section this off, right? This is all A here. B, how much will Jose have paid off after 12 years? What is it asking for here? Paid off. What is it? Did you say interest? The amount you paid off is principal. Yeah, go to 68. I'm telling you that there. Amount paid off is principal. So asking for principal. Okay, make a note there that they're asking for principal. So what are we going to use? We're going to use this one that we haven't used a whole lot. PRN. This is B. From 1 to, what goes over here? Pay close attention to this. It has to be years times whatever PY is. So that ends up being sum of principal is 1 to 144. So from the first payment to the 144th payment, you want to figure out how much have I paid off in that time frame. You want to write down this years times PY. So let's do that. I'm just going to go equals here. I don't know why I go PRN again. Let's figure out what that is. You got to quit this. Apps, finance, principal. And there it is. 103,221. Is it okay if it's negative? I paid that to the bank, right? I paid it to the bank to pay off my loan. I need you to understand this part. You made 144 payments at this point. 144 times a payment of 1,197.55. So get this, guys. In 12 years, you will have paid 172,000, but you really only paid off 103,000. I'll say that again. You paid them this much. You only paid off this much from the balance you owed them. Why is that? Because of interest. They basically made that difference. That's their pocket money, right? So understand that, please. Right? So that's why we have to use principle to figure this out. I know you're loving it, right? I hope some of this sinks in, though. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm almost done here, and then I'll let you work. C. What is the balance owing after 12 years? Balance would be years times PY. So we're going to go 12 years times 12. That is balance after 144 payments. Since they're monthly payments, we're talking 144 months. Okay, guys, this one is actually pretty straightforward. I go to my calculator, apps, finance, balance of 144, and there we go. 99,299.79. That's how much you will still owe 12 years into the mortgage. You can kind of predict where you're going to be at that point. D, how much interest will Jose end up spending or paying by the time the loan is paid off? It's the total interest, right? What goes in here? 1, comma, you want the total interest, right? So we're going to put the 240 in here because you want the entire mortgage, all 240 payments included. Let's figure out what that is. I used interest before. I'm going to go find it. There we go. It's right there. Copy, paste. Change that 96 to 240. There we go. 84,911.64. And now with the house being like 4, 5, 600,000, can you see how much money banks make by borrowing you money? Right? Every house, I'm not kidding you, every house is $100,000 to $200,000 profit for them. Okay? And they have thousands of mortgages. Next, E. How much will he pay altogether? This is a weird question. I don't like the way it's worded. I will rephrase it here. Total cost of house. It's like the total cost of the item. That's N times PMT plus down payment. You have that formula. It's called total cost of the item on page 68. So I'm going to go 240 times 1197.55 plus the down payment, which we determined to be 22,500. This is, I think, what a lot of people fail to take into account when they say, this is how much money I made with my house. They don't consider how much interest they've paid. So my house, this house, guys, was 225,000, right? Let's say years go by, it's like, oh, my house is now worth 300. I'm doing really good. It's like, no, no, you're not. You actually paid more than 300,000 for it if you include the interest that the bank charges you. So you got to wait a little longer to start making a profit. Okay? I'm done after F. Okay? I'm not going to do G. F, how much sooner in months will you pay it off if he adds $150 to his payment? So I'm going to do one of these here. If I want to know how much sooner I'm paying off, which one of the 7 am I asking for? How much sooner? N, please remember that. Like, that's the only way to figure that out. And so everything stays the same. What's going to change here? My payment is going to be negative. It used to be this, but I'm adding another 150, correct? Highlight that. Highlight the 150 so it sticks out. Your payment is more. Present value, same as before. Your interest, same. Let's convert this into what it should be. That's negative 1347.55. This, I have to emphasize, the negative is so important. If not, you're gonna get, you probably won't even be able to answer. Let's solve for n. I will just change this to and then 12, and then I'm going to go to n, alpha, enter, 2026161. Keeps going. This represents what, guys, again? Number of payments, right? Approximately 203 payments. But what are my payments in? Like, what are they in? I was told they are monthly, correct? So this also, in this case, represents months. So it's 240. What the original mortgage was 240. Now it's 203. So we're just going to subtract, and you'll say 37 months sooner. What is that in years approximately? 3 and something? So imagine being done with your mortgage 3 years sooner. Okay? Okay, I'm going to stop here.